So, here's my story. It's like this. I found in my short time on this earth that my brain is basically made up of two sections. I have my human brain, which is the part of my brain where reason and higher thinking resides. And then I have my lizard brain, which is basically food and sex. Now, my story begins at a time in my life when I was about 98% lizard brain, when I was 19 years old. Now I'm about like 96 or 97, so it's, I've changed a lot. I've improved. So when I was 19, I was almost entirely lizard brain. So that means that everything that I was into, I basically interpreted the same way that people interpret their desires for food and for sex. So that means that, the obvious things, like, when I saw a girl walking down the street, it was just like, in the cartoons when the fox, like his eyes just like flow out of his face, it was just like that, and there was no, it's completely like binary thinking, like, she's hot and I want to have sex with her, she's not hot and I don't want to have sex with her. And that was basically all I thought about. But the problem is, it wasn't just girls that I thought of this way. It was also, well, okay, the story's not going in that direction. That would be another interesting story if it did. But it doesn't, okay. You all thought that you were going to find out something really interesting about me. No, what I was going to say is all things in my life I interpreted using my lizard brain. Which means that the two other things I was obsessed with at the time, Japanese culture and rock and roll music, were completely sexual for me. Like, when I talked about Japanese culture, when I talked about Japanese culture, so little has changed. Like, I loved Japan. I loved it. It's all I talked about with my friends. Like, I got all of these manga, and I watched all these anime shows. I was obsessed with it. I read like all the history books. I just wanted to know everything there was to know about Japan. I wanted to be with Japan. And rock and roll music was basically the same thing. When I talked about rock and roll bands, I didn't talk about them the way you talk about music. Like, I really like that tune. I like the lyrics. I talked about them like I talked about a woman. I talked about the Pagans and Rocket from the Tombs and these other bands that I was into. Like, this is the greatest band of all time. I can't believe how much I love this band. These bands were my life. It was a relationship, basically. So, when I was 19, a great thing happened to me that basically brought all of these things together. And that's what this story is really about. Because when I was 19, I came to Germany for the first time. And I was studying here for the summer. And I started off in Heidelberg and Jena. Two very famous, very lovely university towns. But maybe not the most exciting places. I'm just going to be honest. I like Heidelberg, I like Jena. But they weren't the most exciting places. I mean, for me, first time out of the United States, they were fantastic. But when I got to Berlin, I realized what a city could really be. I mean, Berlin in 2002 in Prenzlauer Berg was like where it's at. And the nice thing about Berlin, and this is still true about Berlin is one of those cities where if you want to do something, you can do it. Like, there are really no limits to what you can do in Berlin. I'm going to be honest with you. Coming from where I came from, like, the bars closed at 1:30, and like, they really closed at like 12:30. And like, you didn't like, talk to girls on the street and like take them home. You couldn't walk down like a road and there were like girls in the windows and you could like take those girls home for, a small fee, It's an amazing place. You can do anything there. What a concept. And for a 19-year-old boy, come on, it was heaven for me. It was honestly my vision of heaven. But I didn't really know how great it was until I found out that there was a Japanese rock and roll band playing right around the corner from my apartment in Berlin. So I find out that they're playing, and I talk to all my friends. just like I set up this event. Like I was talking to everybody that I knew, trying to get them to come with me to see the show. But the problem is, much like when you first fall in love, when you talk to other people about love, about your love for something, it's really hard for them to get excited in the same way that you're excited. You know, like you talk about this new guy or new girl or new guy that you met, and you know, your friends might say they're really excited for you, but in reality, they don't really care that much, because they're not really experiencing it the way that you are. And unfortunately, none of my friends were willing to come. So that means when the show came, I was alone, standing right in front of the stage, like right there, and you know, sitting in a bar, maybe about a third the size of this bar, waiting for what would end up being the greatest rock and roll band in the history of the world to come on stage. And I tell you that they're the greatest rock and roll band in the history of the world because of what happened after they came on stage. First thing that happens, the drummer comes on. And the drummer, his shtick, to this day, they still tour, 10 years later, by the way, he comes out completely naked, just like, you know, you remember what the Red Hot Chili Peppers used to do, the drummer used to do. Only thing he has on his person is a long tube sock. No clothes, just a really long tube sock. A tube sock like down past his knees. So, you know, implying, you know, okay, I'm not going to say anymore. You know, it was one thing, I think the name of the Red Hot Chili Peppers drummer is like Chad Miller or something. He's like a really big dude. So like, when he gets on stage, you're like, you know, it's almost like normal to see like big muscly dudes like in states of undress. It's not that crazy. But this is a guy, he's about this tall. He's got a chin that juts out like this, so it always looks like he's thinking about something really important. And he's got so much chest hair that it kind of like projects out from his chest. So, so you have this little Japanese man come out, and the first thing he does is he starts stepping on the bass drum like that, and taking his sock and hitting the snare. So it's boom, 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 boom. Just like that, just like that. And I'm like, ah, yeah! I mean, I'm already in love with this band. That's all I need. And then what happens, the drummer is followed by the coolest lead guitarist, again, I've ever seen. Still to this day. Comes out, his hair is this big. He's got this huge fro, but it's kind of like cut off at the top. And it's paired with a guitar that's in the same shape. And he comes out and he goes, wow. Wow. I am Iron Man. Okay. And it's da 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 da. Fantastic. Okay, the crowd, all 15 of us, we go crazy. It's fantastic, fantastic. And you know, the funny thing is, what preceded, this was basically the soundtrack to my life for the next maybe 8 years. And I don't really remember the individual songs because the 45 minutes that they played went by in the blink of an eye. Honestly, just flew by. I don't even remember the individual songs, the order or anything like that. Because all I did, as soon as they finished, I ran, I mean, they did an extra set, they did an extra long set, they did an encore. And then I ran out and I ran around the block because I was so discombobulated that I couldn't actually remember which direction my apartment was. Because the thing is, I'd only brought enough money to pay for my ticket because I was worried that I was just going to show up and, you know, just drink too much beer or something, I don't know. And so I wanted to go back and just buy like all of their merchandise. I wanted to buy out, like, you know, buy like 20 t-shirts and like 50, you know, CDs, like everything they could. So I got back and that's exactly what I did. I spent like 100 euros on their merchandise that night. And, you know, when I got home from Germany, I was still in the throes of this love, this new love for the electric eel shock. The electric eel shock. By the way, how awesome is that name? The electric eel shock. If you're gonna think of a name for an awesome Japanese heavy metal group, like the electric eel shock has gotta be like #1 on your list. So So I get back, and I get online, and I start doing a little bit of research to find out when they're coming stateside. Because all I think about is how awesome it's going to be when, I get to show my friends this, and it's like my new girlfriend when I get to show my friends, my new girlfriend, the electric eel shock. And I find out that they're doing a tour the next year of the Midwest. I'm from Chicago, and they're doing a bunch of shows in these little towns all over. So I'm like, holy crap, like, I can do like the Grateful Dead. I can like follow them. I can be like a groupie. I can like follow the electric eel shock around. And like we can like, we're gonna get to know each other. Like I'm gonna become friends with Aki Morimoto, and like we're gonna hang out. Which would never happen, by the way, because they sang phonetically. They didn't actually speak English. Like all of their songs are in English, and were back then, but they don't speak any English. So what I did was on their website, they put up this promotion, the Samurai 100. And this was going to be an opportunity for the greatest 100 electric eel shock fans all throughout the world to buy a chance to get every electric eel shock album, every electric eel shock concert ticket, merchandise, opportunities to hang out with the band, everything. So it's basically like you buy this ticket, and for the rest of your life, you get everything electric eel shock that comes out, automatically. And it's only $150. What a deal. Holy crap. I mean, I'm thinking like, like Led Zeppelin in like 1965 or something like that. Like, I'm getting on board, on the ground floor. Like, I'm one of the initial investors in Apple. Like, this is a great deal. And so I buy this great deal. I pay $150, and mind you, at this point, I'm, I guess, in my second year at university, I have like $180. So I have like, I basically spend all of my money on this, Samurai 100. But you know what? They do send me their new album. I think it's Transamerica Rock. Fantastic album. On the cover is a picture of all three guys made up as Concorde jets with their heads as the fronts of the Concorde jets. It's just, the album is just fantastic. Everybody should pick it up. The next year, I am going to take advantage of this ticket, my Samurai 100 ticket. And so the first show on the tour, the first show on the tour is like in New York, but that's too far away. The first show that's close to me is in Columbus, Ohio, my place that I was born. So I go to Columbus, Ohio, 5 hours drive away with a friend of mine. And we're going to go see this show. And we show up, and basically what they told us to do is that anytime you go to an electric eel shock show, what you have to do is you have to just go to the bouncer at the front desk or the ticket agency and just say you're a samurai. And they'll let you in. And so that's what I did. I walk up to the bouncer, and I walk up to him, and I say, "Hi, I'm a samurai." And he says, "Excuse me?" And I say, I'm a samurai. Don't you know? And he said, "I have no idea what you're talking about. It's $5 to get in." And I say, "Well, I should be on the list. I'm a samurai." And he says, he looks at his list, and there's like no names on it, because, the Electric Eel Shock they're not a big band. They play $5 shows. So, like, they're not a big band. There's nobody on the list. Like, when I actually got in, there were only 10 people at the show. So there was nobody on the list. So I say, "Okay, well, I guess I should be on the list." And he says, "Okay, just go in. Just go in. It's $5. Just go in." And so I go up there. Fantastic show. Even better than the first one. It was amazing. It was amazing. I had so much fun. I drive to Toledo, Ohio. Toledo, Ohio is about 2 hours away from Columbus. Walk up to the door guy. "I'm a samurai." "Excuse me?" "I'm a samurai." $7. Okay. I'm noticing a trend here. I'm starting to get a little nervous. But again, I go up, have a great time. Toledo, even better than the Columbus show. Shows just keep on getting better and better. The sock on Gianito, the drummer's thing, it keeps on getting bigger and bigger. So I think that everything's just getting better. Finally, Chicago. Best of all. I go. Again, what do you expect? I'm a samurai. No idea. But you do have to remember, I've also gotten into all these shows free. So maybe if you ever go to a rock and roll show in the United States, you should just say, I'm a samurai, and they'll just let you in. So I get in, and I'm feeling a little bit hurt at this point. I'm starting to feel a little bit used. It kind of reminds me. Has anybody seen the? Oh wait, no. Hold on a second. The show is awesome. I finish up and I walk up to Aki Morimoto, the lead singer, and I say, "Hey, what's going on? Like, I'm a member of the Samurai 100. I've been trying to get into all these shows. I've been following you guys around. Like, he recognizes me because I'm the guy that's been in the crowd for the last 3 shows." And he says, "Oh, samurai, yeah, samurai." Again, he doesn't speak English, so he's just running around, he's saying samurai. He goes over and talks to his bandmates, and he goes and gets like a whole armful of merchandise, t-shirts and CDs and pins and stickers, and he gives them to me. And I take it, and I kind of look down, and I'm like, what is this? And he's like, take it. Okay. And so I leave. And, okay, this is what I was asking. Has anybody ever seen The Apartment? Teresa, you've seen The Apartment. You've seen The Apartment. You know that scene where, for Christmas, he gives his, sorry guys, he gives his girlfriend a $100 bill because he doesn't know what to get her. So in this movie, the movie's about an apartment that's used for executives to cheat on their wives. So in one scene, it's Christmas, and the secretary gives her boss this really nice record, and then he gives her a $100 bill and says, "Here, take it. I wasn't really sure what to get you, so just get yourself something nice. I hear there's really nice crocodile bags down in Macy's." The Apartment, Billy Wilder. It's a fantastic movie. Everybody should see it. Jack Lemmon movie. It's really funny. And that's exactly how I felt. I felt so used by the electric eel shock. I'd put so much emotion into this relationship. I'd been following them around the United States. My thoughts had been so wrapped up in these guys. I thought we were going to be hanging out. I thought we were going to be spending all this time together. And then at the end of the day, all I got was an armful of merch. It was very depressing. So I went home. I thought about it a little bit. And I thought about what exactly it means to be in a relationship. This, by the way, as some of you might have remembered when I talked to you before, is my first love story. And relationships are about give and take. And sometimes you're a giver, and sometimes you're a taker. In this case, I was clearly the giver. But in the end, when I look back at Transamerica Ultra Rock and the other great assets in the Electric Eel Shock catalog, I got back so much more. So, thank you very much. That's my story.